Yeah, exactly.
This is Carl's 20th victory in 303 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races. This win ends, sorry, Carl, a 70-race winless streak, the longest of his career. This is his second victory here at Phoenix International Raceway. Obviously, a big day for you. Very excited,
Yeah.
Carl. Just talk a little bit about your
Very
win.
excited, man. It's after I left here this afternoon, I told Randy, I said, I'm going to quit being so nice about when people ask about this losing streak, because it is very frustrating. And not that it makes me mad that you ask. It makes me mad to not be winning races. And I cannot say enough about Jack Roush and all the folks he has there at Roush Fenway Racing. Bob Osborne and I won 18 or 19 races together. And when Bob couldn't crew chief anymore, Jack put Chad Norris behind me. Chad picked up as much slack as any man could, being put into the fire there last year. Then when the season ended, Jack put Jimmy Fennig behind me and let him build a team around this 99. And it just seems like Jack and Robbie and everyone just keep pushing this 99 team forward, and it means the world to me. So to be in victory lane this early in the season, to have a car like we had today is it's really, really great. This win feels as good or better than any win I've ever had, so very excited about it.
Obviously, being part of this, Jack, talk a little bit about what it feels to be here with Carl for this win today.
Well, it's great to be here with Carl. You know, Carl is we were holding Carl back last year without meaning to, just because we didn't have the right chemistry around him. But Jimmy Fennig, when we asked Jimmy if he would take Carl and he would take me for another year and then do this thing, he had his requirements. He wanted to change a few things. He didn't want to see as much of me as I'd shown to Bob. And
tell him exactly what he said. I'm not gonna have Jack sitting on my damn box looking over my shoulder the whole race.
No.
And that made me, when I saw you up on the box today on pace laps, I thought, how'd Jack weasel his way up there?
I was on your box at Daytona too. Jimmy held a spot for me.
If you would have wrecked, you would have been off there.
But anyway, Jimmy is well studied. He works as hard behind the scenes. I know that Carl really got in his way a little bit last night. Carl was a midnight caller on Jimmy, and he had some questions and issues he wanted to be reassured about. So he come and knocked on Jimmy's door last night. But you know, Jimmy was puts his nights working on the car and working with the engineers, and he really put a good plan together. He didn't plan to take 4 tires all day, I think, and it worked out. And the people got on the 2-car program, but Jimmy was there first.
Well, Jimmy, if you get those midnight calls and the win is what does it, I'd look out if that's what does it. Grab a mic and talk a little bit about what this win means for you.
Well, every win means a lot, but this is a pretty special one. You know, winning the first time with Carl Edwards and you know, the 99 team, it feels good. You know, I can't say enough about the guys back at the shop, especially what we struggled with a week ago. We put that all behind us. Nobody let their head down or nothing. We kept working forward, and hard work pays off, and here we are.
Well, congratulations to all 3 of you and the rest of the team. We'll take questions now. We'll start right here with Reed and then go to Lee.
Good. Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire Service. Carl, Denny was in here a little while ago. He says Carl Edwards is relevant again. Did you feel irrelevant, and do you feel relevant now?
Yeah, I appreciate him bringing that up. At least he didn't talk about my irrelevancy when I was irrelevant. But it is hard to explain. I mean, a lot of people that have been in sports, and you know, definitely Jack and Jimmy understand this. But when you're struggling, it seems like time slows down. You're working harder. You're trying more. You're questioning yourself more. And Kyle Petty earlier, we were being interviewed, and he's like, "Where were you last year? You know, you were gone." I was like, "Man, I was there." That's one of the longest years of my life to work that hard and to not get the victory. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to be back in the mix here. A victory is huge for so many reasons. You know, to get us last year, we didn't even make the chase. I mean, for me to sit home while everybody was at the chase stuff and at Vegas, that was a little bit of a shock to me. I did not like that at all. And so to get a victory helps us, you know, be in a better position for the chase. It just feels good to win. I'm just very glad to be here. So yeah, I guess I hope Denny's right. I hope we're more relevant or more than relevant all year. I hope we dominate this thing.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Lee.
Not to sound like a marketing tool, but we've heard Ford won from the people up in Dearborn, and you have a new teammate now, and he just happens to be the defending champion. How much did that mean to have the 2 Fords get together at the end and you know, really help push you to the win?
That was huge. And Brad and I talked a little bit about how we planned on helping one another this season, and that I think was an amazing example of what we can do together to make sure Fords get to victory lane. We talked a lot about it at Daytona. We weren't able to put something together, but hopefully this season, the things that Ford has been talking about, one Ford, for all the way from Jim Farley and Edsel Ford came to that media day at the Hall of Fame just to sit us in a room and say, hey, look, we want to win as a team. We want to do what we can to help one another. And yeah, that was very cool today of Brad to push us. I knew if we made it to turn one first, we were going to win that race. And he could have gone 3 wide. He could have made that a heck of a lot harder, and that was pretty big.
Okay, back row, go ahead with your question.
Becca Gladden, Motorsport Illustrated. Carl, what was going through your mind when the caution came out there? Did you think that you still had a chance to win?
Well, yeah, I always think I have a chance, but to be honest, the first thing that came to my mind was, now if we win it, we've really earned it. Because we did have a great pit crew and great pit strategy today. So we got out front, and I felt pretty good with 2 or 3 laps to go that we were going to walk away with that race. And when the caution came out, I thought, okay, now this is, we're going to have to earn it. So it made me real, not real nervous.
Obviously, a lot has to do with the car, but I mean, do you ever? I mean, does it ever cross your mind, like, oh man, like, what's going on with me, or do you always have confidence in yourself enough to turn it around?
I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I can tell you that my little bit of experience with race car drivers, we all have pretty fragile egos. I mean, that's what part of one of the things that makes us perform well is that you're always questioning yourself. You're always working hard. I never feel like I've had a perfect race or a perfect year. I'm always trying to be better, and I think all of us are like that. But when you're not getting that positive reinforcement, you're not winning, it is tougher. You have to really be objective as you can, which is hard to do when you're thinking about yourself, but to try to think, am I doing the right things? Am I working the right way? Am I being a good team player? And Jack's helped me a lot with that. Jimmy, I ask him for the last month or two, every time we're talking, it's like, what do you need from me? Is there anything I can do? And all these guys both have helped me a lot just to make sure that they tell me what they want from me. But anyway, I'm getting off subject a little bit. Basically, yes, it is tough, and you do have to question yourself constantly. Even when you're winning, you have to do that, but it is hard when you're not.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Lewis. Go ahead.
Yes, Lewis, Frank Auto Week. Jimmy, we're not going to ask you how you felt. We could see it on TV when that caution came out. But before the caution, what was the fuel situation? Because it seemed like Carl, after Jimmy got within about 0.6 of a second, Carl opened up a lead to 8.9 of a second. So what were you telling him about the fuel?
Well, basically, I was just telling Carl watch his gauges, because just if that thing just started bouncing, we would have been in trouble. But it was going to be close. We had to maybe conserve a lap or so, but also going to have to run hard because Jimmy was right there. So, but Carl did an excellent job with that. We had ran some laps in the 70s. Then when he had to take it back, he brought it back down to the 50s. So, did a good job, but it was close.
All right, we'll go to Mike, then Stan.
Couldn't tell how close we were.
Mike Embry, Speed.com. Jimmy, clearly you're the missing link on this team. If you look back over the past 70 races, and you come in and you guys win. Can you talk about the changes, or have you just had a whole new approach to running things? What has made it work so quickly?
Well, I don't think I'm the missing link. I'm I go about my work a little different than some people do. I'm a hard worker. We sit there and we pay attention to detail on our race cars, and that's about it. I do the same thing I did with Matt, with Mark Martin in '98. That's the way I work, and we still have 85% of the team left from the 17. That's still there, and everybody knows the way I operate, what I want, and we're just trying to deliver it to Carl.
Okay, next question from Stan.
Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. For Jimmy and Carl, also for you. Jimmy, did you feel victory this morning at all as you were getting this car ready? Did you feel like you all had a real chance at winning this race? And Carl, how about you? How did you feel this morning as you were getting ready?
Well, you don't feel victory. I don't feel victory. The only thing I know is yesterday I felt pretty good about the race car, looking at our lap times, studying what we did, and adjustments you had to make. Like we make adjustments every Sunday morning, and we didn't have to really dig deep in the bag because we think our car was pretty good, and ended up to be okay. We made one air pressure adjustment and one other adjustment, and Carl did the rest.
Okay, go ahead with your.
Yeah, the pit crew I think was key today too. I think that was huge, and I've kind of felt I don't know if you. I've felt more confident, like a victory's closer since the first meeting I had with Jimmy at the shop to see the attention to detail that he has on the car and to see the intensity in all the guys' eyes. But yesterday after final practice, my trainer came with me from CTS, Dean, and we were talking after practice. Like, man, I'm in a really good mood. I was like I feel good, and I realized it was because I felt that speed in the race car, and the thing drove like I wanted it to, and that's a really good feeling. So I was more optimistic than I have been for a long time this morning getting ready to race.
Okay, go ahead with your question.
Carl, you mentioned this morning that yesterday you kind of went out and took a little hike and sort of cleared your head. With all the crazy stuff that happened in Daytona that was beyond your control, how much, what does that do to somebody when you get into all these messes that are not of your cause?
I try real hard to put the past behind me very quickly. So when things go poorly, I try to just turn my back to it and look forward. But I know other people don't do that, and I know it's hard for a lot of people. So the one thing I was most nervous about coming to Phoenix was having another problem, having a wreck or a parts failure or something like that. I actually missed a shift in practice and over-revved the engine a little bit, and I thought, oh man, we can't have another problem like that, because I knew if we had two bad races to start, it would be hard for some people. Not Jimmy or Jack or me, but there might be guys on the team or guys at the shop that would start hanging their heads because it is very difficult to come out of a hole like that. So I'm very grateful that we came right back with a win here this weekend.
Okay, we'll go Bob, Jim, and then Reed.
Bob Hawker, Sporting News. Carl, you've talked a lot that you kind of feel that you still have Bob Osborne working for you because he's doing a lot of the engineering on the Gen 6 car. So I'm curious if you and Jack can talk about what you feel like his contributions were to the win today.
Well, yeah, he's still here at the racetrack. He's in all the meetings. He doesn't seem as stressed out. He's a little easier to get along with, which is nice. So I think Bob and I are going to be better friends now than we were before. But that's the thing that's amazing about Roush Fenway and what Jack's able to do. I don't know how he does it, but it seems like every time we make a change, we don't actually lose a person. A person just goes into a different part of the team. So I don't know if you enjoy paying all those paychecks, but I appreciate all the good people. We
actually started with Bob's initiative. We started a new department to work further out instead of working on 2 races out. Bob and 3 or 4 young engineers are working half a dozen races out to try to find things. I asked Bob when the fruit of his work was going to kick in. I asked him yesterday, and he said, by Fontana we should be really good, and we will have hardware that reflects what he's been working on by Fontana. But Bob is he's been there for Jimmy, and he's been there for me, and been there for Carl, and he's bringing his considerable knowledge to the benefit of all the programs.
Okay, go ahead.
Jim Peltz, LA Times. Carl, I don't know what there is to say about it, but it's quite the coincidence that your 2 wins at Phoenix both broke 70 race winless streaks. So.
Yeah, that is kind of strange, huh? Stranger that I'm even here driving these race cars. If you guys had known me 10 years ago, you'd be laughing right now. So it is pretty wild. And this place, to me, it's a little more coincidental because this place is so special to me. This was my first pavement race I ever ran was here in 2001, the Copper World Classic. And so each time I come here, I really enjoy this racetrack. It was a huge turning point in my career, and there was a lot of good fortune that happened that weekend. I missed about the biggest wreck of my life in the first lap of the Conci, and we made the feature, and that was huge. So yeah, hopefully we don't have any more 70 race losing streaks in my career, but if they were to happen, I'll look forward to Phoenix again sometime. So.
All right. Well, next question we'll take is from Reed.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. The pit road stats showed that you guys spent the least amount of time on pit road of any team out there, and that you gained an average of about 1 second per stop over the 48. Has that been a particular emphasis in the off season, both with the pit crew and getting on and off pit road?
Those guys are just bad to the bone. I mean, I've been those guys have frustrated me on pit road for years, and it's neat to have them doing pit stops, for the 99 team now. It's pretty awesome.
Okay, we'll take a question from the back row, then come down to Terry.
Carl, can you talk a little bit about Subway being the title sponsor of the race, and is that added incentive, added pressure? How do you view that?
It is a little strange to come to the strange. It's not strange. It's an honor to come to the track and be driving the Subway car and to have the Subway as the primary, the primary sponsor of our car and the title sponsor of the race. But there is pressure. I mean, those guys are as competitive as anyone. I know you guys have been to the banquets and met a lot of the sponsors and talked to them, but all of my sponsors are that way. They want to win. They didn't sign up with Jack Roush and the 99 team to be on 70 race losing streaks. They signed up to win and win a lot. So it's I wouldn't say it's more pressure because I put a lot of pressure on myself, but it is very nice to win this race for them. It's really, really great for after everything they do for me. It's very cool.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Terry.
Terry Blunt, ESPN.com. Carl, before Denny said you're relevant again, he brought up the point that I was asking him that he can relate because in 2010 he almost won the championship. In 2011 they were terrible, and then they won here last year. And he said at that point he knew that they were back, even though it was just one race. And he said, I can feel exactly what Carl's feelings. Do you feel that way? That just from one race?
That is interesting. Until you mentioned, I didn't realize the parallels there between the two of our situations. And yeah, it's he must have felt good that day because I feel really good right now. I feel like I could jump over those grandstands right now. So this is neat. I'm more excited to go to Vegas than I've been in a long time. I'm very pumped.
Yeah, I'm just glad we didn't run out of gas and glad you could still do a backflip. I was worried about those.
They told me you were real nervous.
Those are the two things I was worried about the most.
I was a little nervous about that too. I haven't done one of those for a long time.
Okay, I think we have a question in the back.
Carl Bill Center with the Union Tribune newspaper in San Diego. On the 239th lap, under the caution down here, you and Dale Jr. were side by side coming down pit lane. And you had Casey Mears in front of you, and it looked like Earnhardt had a nose in front of you and had to check up when Casey went into his pit. I was just wondering, did you see that developing? And since you never trailed after that, how important was that moment?
That was hugely important. I'm glad you brought that up. There were a couple things that happened there. First of all, I think we came onto pit road fourth. Something like that. We came out first. I was in front of Dale. He must have the timing lines figured out really well because I was at the max speed that I could go, and he shot up there. And I thought, oh man, I can't go any faster. I'm going to get a penalty. And Casey was up there, and I thought, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work out. And he turned left, and Dale could have run me up into the wall and spun Casey out, and I could tell he thought about it. I think he did because there was that little pause. And I thought he's going to do it, and then he stood on the brakes and kept from tearing all the cars up. So that had to be very difficult for him because I think we all knew right then that was that could be the race.
I think we had another question in the back.
I'd like to think I was just going to pass him anyway, but I was a little nervous.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. Can you talk about the final restart? Jimmy thought maybe you kind of slowed down a little bit before you kind of started up.
That's interesting you brought that up because I thought, man, he's playing some sort of trick. He's speeding up. So I was like, what's he doing? Usually the guy in second hangs back a little bit and tries to watch, and he pulled up there, and I thought, man, why is he doing that? So maybe I was slowing down, but I wasn't trying to. I thought he was speeding up, and I thought it was pretty genius what he was doing because he kind of got me off of my game. But then when I went, I think maybe he wasn't looking at me or something because it seemed like he waited just a little bit too long to go. But truthfully, that was not by design. I was not trying to do anything tricky. I thought he was.
And I think we have another question in the back.
Does it work? Okay. Hey, Carl. Congratulations on your win.
Thanks.
Ryan O'Hara, SpeedwayMedia.com. My question for you is, we've seen in your career, we would have one and maybe two great years, and then mini droughts here and there, another 2 good years, and then another drought, which is this one.
You noticed that, huh?
Yeah. But my question for you is, do you think this combination with you and Jimmy Fennig is going to be the solution?
I hope so. It's really interesting because I have fought you guys on that stuff. You guys say, well, you have a good year and then a bad year and a good year. And I'm like, that's just chance. It's not, but it really has been happening. I don't know what that is. How many more years are you going to do this, Jimmy? Let's put him on the spot. What do you? I don't think he wanted to do it with me this year. So maybe if we do well enough, we can keep him around and we won't have any more bad years. I do not like that. Those droughts are terrible. But hopefully this is the floodgates are open. Hopefully we can go out and do some good.